SpeedCafe.com Summer Grill, brought to you by our good mates at KTM Motorcycles. We want to say a huge thank you as well to all of you who've been leaving comments as we go. Keep that interaction happening. For this episode, we're going to focus on Formula One, specifically Daniel Ricciardo and his time with Renault and looking ahead to his future with McLaren. For this conversation, we're joined by Greg Murphy and also Speed Cafe's F1 Tragic, their senior journalist in Mat Coch. G'day, Matt.
G'day, Greg. G'day, Murph.
This is a biggie, isn't it? As we reflect on 2 years at Renault for Dan Ricciardo, it finishes with a fifth in this year's championship, a couple of podiums as well. A team boss who's made a bet to get a tattoo as a direct result of that. It was quite astonishing because it was a crazy year.
It really was. It was all a result of a domino effect, really, with Sebastian Vettel and Carlos Sainz, and then Daniel Ricciardo making his decision to jump ship before the season even started. It's extraordinary. It's not very often in Formula One that you see a driver making a decision to switch teams more than a year in advance. So it's an extraordinary turn of events and a really big gamble on Daniel's part, you must admit.
Do you think, big gamble, that's it. I mean, that's what it comes down to. Massive gamble to make a decision like that. I mean, and would have been a pretty difficult sort of situation to find yourself in and have to make that call. Looking back now on the year that was, and the performance that the Renault has been sort of able to pull out of that car, and his performance, do you think it was the right one or the wrong one?
This is the big decision. This is the $1 million or however much his contract's worth dollar decision, because Renault came on strong in the latter part of 2020. McLaren is receiving huge investment. It's recruited staff. They're developing resources back at their home base. I've just had some more investment as well. So the signs there are positive, but the on-track momentum seems to just be swinging in favour of the Renault. And obviously they've got the Alpine rebranding next year as well. Fernando Alonso coming back in. The signs there are positive. So it's a big gamble. Has he made the right decision? The problem is we're not going to know until it's too late for him. This could be the defining moment in Daniel's career, whether he becomes a race winner again or whether it becomes bogged down in the midfield.
Looking at it overall, Matt, the 2 years with Renault, obviously leaving Red Bull for a new challenge, clearly he made an impact this year with those podium finishes and that top five result. I mean, he grew as a leader, the way he worked and rallied the group around him to get so much out of that car. They're all assets he'll take forward into McLaren, but how do we overall look at his tenure, his time with Renault?
I would think it's fair to suggest 2019 he got a pass mark, but nothing really more than that. So he did the job, but he didn't excel. He didn't really have the opportunity to in that car. This year, I think it's fair to suggest that he's led that team in its march forward. He scored 2 podiums. He's developed a really strong relationship with the mechanics. The problem is it came 12 months too late. He needed the season to start before he had an opportunity to make the decision. That didn't happen. So this year, I think you've got to mark it down as success, as a really good year. He performed well in the Drivers' Championship. Renault itself was involved in a really tight midfield battle with McLaren, his new home, and Racing Point. So it showed that it's right there in amongst it, led primarily by Daniel Ricciardo. So overall, I think you'd have to put 2020 and the 2-year tenure with Renault down as a success, but with just a little exclamation mark alongside 2019.
Just looking at the way you look at it and how you really focus in on Formula One and pay so much attention to it, the word team gets used in motorsport all the time, and really the definition of it sometimes is not correct on the way operations do go about their business. Do you think that someone like Daniel and that the experience he's got and that leadership and the difference he did make at Renault, certainly in 2020, going and combining that with the likes of the leadership from Zach Brown and clearly a team that, or McLaren, that's gone through a significant rebuild and is really starting to showcase some great results. 2 great drivers that clearly had a very good relationship, a good working relationship. Daniel's going to go in there and work incredibly well with Lando. Really, that could be the significant difference, right? The way the team's structured, the way it's run, the way it's led, and being an English team like that rather than a French organisation. How do you see it all?
Yeah, so when you look at Daniel Ricciardo and his position in McLaren, they've got, as you say there, Zach Brown, who's hugely accomplished in motorsport, not even just in team land. He was involved in the marketing side of things beforehand. Andreas Seidel. They've got Mercedes engines coming. The power unit that's been the absolute dominant force in Formula One in the current turbo hybrid era. Lando Norris, who Daniel Ricciardo already gets on really well with, we've seen a little bit of the antics that those two are likely to get up to. So it really creates some good morale, some good momentum for that team coming off the back of a strong 2020 where they finished third in the championship. So it's really positive. Daniel is a key part of that. He is only a part of that jigsaw, but I think he will really add a lot of experience. He'll bring that race-winning mentality that McLaren hasn't had for a few years, and he should be able to just drag that team forward a little bit, hopefully.
I guess that leads us to the final question then, Matt. I mean, a lot to play out with the lead up to the 2021 season. Do you think they can challenge for podiums and perhaps even race wins with that combination next year?
It's a big ask, isn't it? You look at Mercedes, and they are the class of the field. Red Bull has made progress towards the back end of 2020, but those two teams are the established benchmarks. The regulations are very, very similar for next year. They lose a little bit of the aerodynamic downforce just to take some of the pressure off of the tyres. But fundamentally, the rules are the same. That means that the gains that McLaren has to make are very marginal. They don't have huge sweeping opportunities to make big strides. So I think they'll chip away. I don't think they'll be genuine podium contenders day in, day out. But given an opportunity, like we've seen a couple of times throughout the 2020 season, they're there ready to pounce. They'll be nipping at the heels, I think, of those guys, but they won't be genuine race winners. They won't be genuine podium hopefuls in a regular weekend.
How much time gain do you put on the power plant? Going from the Renault to the Mercedes, there surely has to be just some free time added.
Absolutely, there is time to be had there. It's a couple of tenths of a second. Obviously, it varies depending which circuit you're at. But at Abu Dhabi, for example, Mercedes had some MGUK issues there, and that cost them a tenth of a second or thereabouts a lap. So just on that aspect, they're about a tenth of a second better than the Renault. When you consider that McLaren's also got a very good chassis, combine those pieces together, and they'll be competitive. I don't think they'll be a Red Bull, but they'll be competitive. As you say, Murph, there is time to be gained there just by switching the engines, but that'll take a little bit of time to unlock.
He's very kindly taken a break from working on his race car there in the garage. Our thanks to Mat Coch. That wraps up another edition of the Speed Cafe Summer Grill, brought to you by KTM. For power parts for your KTM, just head to the website or your nearest official dealer. And we'll be back with another episode real soon. KTM are giving away some awesome summer essentials each week. Stay cool with a KTM Powerwear pack featuring a shirt, cap, thongs or jandals, sunglasses and lanyard. To enter the draw, all you need to do is subscribe to Speed Cafe in the sign up box below this video. It is that easy. And we'll have another episode of the KTM Summer Grill for you tomorrow. Stay tuned.